Well, everybody, it is a day ending in the letter Y, which means we have to talk about Starfield again. Of course, Todd is with us. He is chilling with us. We have his candle lit. And the reason we're talking about it is actually legitimate. There is something that has happened. And it all started with a couple of little things I saw. Okay? A couple of little things I saw. For one, I saw Paris post a picture wearing sunglasses indoors. The madman. Saying, looking forward to the next chapter of Starfield in 2026. Maybe it's just connecting the dots. Nothing was announced for the game this year, and so naturally you can conclude that something will be announced next year, right? That seems fair. And then there were other things, like, for example, I saw that some YouTubers were mentioning that something had gone down. And I had heard a couple of rumblings from people being like, keep an eye for Starfield news. And this was in November, and everybody just thought, okay, Game Awards, right? Of course. If you hear in November, get ready for a reveal for this game, you assume it's going to be Game Awards. I think that's a fair assumption to make. But then Starfield didn't end up showing up, and so it was like, okay, well, what's happening? James, I'm sorry, said, for me, it's Juicehead's video on what's going on with Starfield at 7 minutes. What was in that video? Hold on. You said this is what sparked your interest.
Been incredibly sparse, as new content such as new DLCs and even new ways to travel are confirmed, but seemingly for 2026. What I will say is I've seen some things. I'm very, very excited for the future of Starfield. I think 2026 has serious potential.
And that's it. That's all he says. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. So my understanding is that there were also a number of other people that were low-key confirming it, but nobody was really sure if they were allowed to confirm it or not, which is also kind of funny. So for example, Greg Miller in a members-only video
Crippled Steel donated $10 through
talked
Super
about it
Chat.
as well.
Gee, I wonder why Luke doesn't get invited to Bethesda events. Also Luke's chat. How much to bite Todd?
Exactly. Well, it's funny because, like, this is what's hilarious about it. If they're like, hey, Luke kind of is pretty hardcore and unforgiving when it comes to how we do things. And if he, like, so we don't want him to come to our event and talk about what we're doing. And so it's like, okay, so I'll stay at home. I don't sign an NDA. And now I can just talk about it. Like, there is an actual strategy with companies where they will go to, like, the fiercest critics and they will try to get them. What was that? What was that sound? That was weird. They will try to get them. Oh, I see what it is. Oh, it's the bits. They will try to get them to go and sign an NDA so they can't talk about it. So, like, if you have somebody who is a hardcore critic of, like, Call of Duty, invite them to a Call of Duty event, have them sign an NDA, then you don't have to worry about them talking about it for a month, 2 months or whatever, you know? And for some people, they can't help themselves at events. They're like, ooh, I'm so excited. For me, I'm like, I don't care. This was a digital event. They watched a video is what we're saying. But anyway, continuing. Refocused. So there was also little things like Greg from Kind of Funny said that he attended a Starfield event on the future of it, but couldn't say anything. I asked Bad Playable for a link, and he came through, actually found the link, and basically it's a members only video behind a paywall where he's in his car talking about it. So naturally, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to reveal that because it's behind a paywall. It's not my place, but he does in that video mention this, something is happening with Starfield, and he's going to be able to talk about it in the future. Paired with that, there were also other postings in the last few days. For example, Detective Seeds mentioned it in a couple of little things. Starfield 2.0 is really going to surprise players and get them to come back. I think PS5 players are going to really enjoy it now. My main concern with 2026 so packed with games, so I might be hesitant to give it a look. Closed door demo was held recently, just FYI. And so when I saw this stuff, I started reaching out to people and talking. I'm like, maybe this is unrelated, but it seems clear that something was going on, specifically with Bethesda, like, friendly individuals, was how it was starting to appear. I spoke to a couple of people that I have in my Rolodex, and what appears to have happened, what happened is that In November, there was an event held. This event was a digital event. Okay. And I'm not like breaking any crazy news. Like I said, people like Greg have openly been talking about it for weeks and weeks. Okay. So I did not attend the event. Shocker. But I talked to people who both attended the event and helped put it on. And here's the deal. There was a presentation showcasing the future of Starfield and what they aim to do with it with this next big overhaul update and with the second expansion. The people who were invited were what they called, it was described to me as like Bethesda partnered creators, or, you know, people close with Bethesda. And I think that has two angles to it. So it's press and media that have previously had close connections with BGS, and then also like literal creators. So like the modders, the paid modder crew, the guys that make creations, they were also invited to the call so that they could see what's going on and have an idea to start brainstorming what they could do. So with that, I mean, like also YouTube channels that are dedicated to Starfield and like X accounts that are dedicated to Starfield were invited to see it. And it's pretty clear they're trying to re-energize the fan base. And I think that this is an important thing to understand. Their goal was not to invite critics and convince them that they had fixed their concerns and frustrations and that they would now love the game. Their goal was to re-energize the people who already kind of liked Starfield. And I think that's an important framing. What they were shown, and it'll be important when I describe all of this later, what was shown was apparently a number of things, such as mentionings of the PS5 port that will be coming. It's also being reported, I didn't hear this, but Jez Corden from Windows Central said that he had a source, or sources, shout out. Seems we shouldn't have to wait long to find out more. I saw a post from Luke Siemens on X that crystallized rumors I've been hearing that Bethesda recently held an event behind closed doors to showcase some of its plans for Starfield. I spoke to a few people with first and secondhand knowledge to try and catch a glimpse of what we can expect. And we'll talk about this stuff in just a second. But interestingly, he mentioned that they will also have a Switch 2 version of Starfield coming. So not just PS5, also Switch 2, which I don't know why I didn't expect that. I mean, it kind of makes sense if they're porting everything everywhere that they would do that. Apparently, they're going to try to bring it to Switch 2 if Jez's source is to be believed. Here's what's interesting about all this. So what appears to have been overhauled is that they're doing a couple of little engine tweaks and improvements, some of which have been data mined and leaked. But they're doing a couple of things that are interesting. There was another little game that ignited a lot of discourse about a little over a year ago, I think it was, called Star Wars Outlaws. Now, this guide, you know, it was not ready for prime time when it launched. It needed more time in the oven, certainly. But one thing it did that was genuinely really cool, as Nick Tech clipped here, was this. When you went to fly towards a planet and you would land on it, it would do this really cool transition where it would cover up its load screens. So it would actually go and have you fly into a cloud, and then it would do sort of a blurring kind of thing. You'll see it here in just a second. And it would cover up the load screen while keeping you immersed in the game as if you're flying. Even though now the game has taken control of the ship, you're no longer in control. It's flying you straight down here. You'll see this smooth transition. You go into the clouds and everything. And this is a load screen, just like Starfield has, but it don't feel like it, and it feels a lot better, as you can see. You just immediately transition down, not immediately, you transition down to the planet surface, and then you land. Now, technically, depending on your hardware, that thing you just saw was longer than the transition that you would see and the load screen that you would see in Starfield. But it doesn't feel that way because it keeps you immersed and you're in the game. So it's just more fluid, as it were. Of course, as you can see here, he also compares it to something like Starfield, where you can fly as much as you want towards the planet. You'll never arrive because it just kind of magnetically opposes you. And so eventually, if you want to land on it, you have to press a button and select a landing site, as you can see he does here. And then this will then generate a sort of bathtub or a fishbowl of a landing zone. You go into a loading screen, and then wait for it. you land, and it's in a procedurally generated tile, which is basically 1 pixel on the planet is 1 tile. And so then when you land, there's another little load screen to get out of the ship. You can either exit the ship directly, as you can see right there, or you can exit into the like loading bay and then exit out onto the planet's surface. But it doesn't feel that good, especially when you compare it to something like No Man's Sky, which can do it fully seamlessly, as you can see here, where there's no load screens either which way, either to get out of the ship or to arrive at the planet's surface. It just works. All of this just works, you know? So what they're doing is apparently much closer to Star Wars Outlaws than it is No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky, it's fully seamless. You can go straight from space into a planet's atmosphere, down onto the planet's surface, then out back into space, then to another planet, so on and so forth. In the update to the creation engine, what will basically be happening is this. There will be load screens still because it's the creation engine, but they will cover it up with animated, whatever you would call sleight of hand. You know, they're going to do some stuff to make it feel like you're not just sitting in a load screen. Even though you technically are, it won't feel that way. It's the same reason why games like God of War famously do the like shimmy between the boulders thing when you're loading between zones. There's a reason they don't just have a load screen there. They keep you in the game shimmying between a rock because it's more immersive and people like it more. So with all of this, I think it's important to understand that what they're doing will make Starfield better, because now the load screens will be covered up and kind of hidden. And I think that will feel a lot better to play, but it's still Starfield, you know? And this is the thing that will come up as we discuss the rest of this. It will be better Starfield. It will still be Starfield, okay? Like the procedurally generated landing zones will still work the same way. My understanding is that when you want to land on a planet's surface, instead of now opening a menu, selecting the tile, you then go there, fast travel, all that. What will effectively happen is that you will be able to like select the landing zone, and then the ship will sort of take control of itself, just like with Star Wars Outlaws. And then you'll go down to the planet's surface with that load screen covered up. It will feel better to play, but it's still Starfield, okay? Like they didn't magically make No Man's Sky, okay? And that's important to understand, because I think it's why they've chosen to showcase this in the way that they have, and to both talk and not talk about it the way that they have. Their goal is not necessarily to convince the critics who didn't like Starfield, because frankly, like it's still Starfield. It's just better Starfield. So their goal instead is to get the people who liked the base game and liked what they had, and just get them excited again with some stuff to make it better, and get them to come back in for more paid mods and everything. There's a reason they invited modders to this event who are going to sell paid mods, basically a bunch of little microtransactions. There's a reason. It's because they make a lot of money on them. So their goal is not necessarily to win maybe people like you and me back to the game. Their goal is to get the people who already put 200 hours into the game to come back, play another 100 hours, and buy some creations while they're at it. Now, as for other stuff, you can see Jez kind of wrote up everything that he heard from his individual sources. So as I mentioned, it'll break free of its load screen heavy spaceflight systems. The other thing that they've added is what's called a cruise mode. He'll mention that. Spaceflight will now feel more freeform and continuous if the rumors are accurate, and various other systems are pertaining to space travel and exploration will be improved as well. It's apparently the creation engine has reportedly undergone some large technical improvements to facilitate how some of these types of systems that will also carry or improvements to facilitate some of these systems that will carry forward to future games as well. He also clarifies it's not going to be using Unreal Engine for the update, because of course it won't. It's still on Creation Engine. Now, what is cruise mode? Well, cruise mode, my friends, is very interesting. Cruise mode is bizarre. We don't know a lot about it, but we know a couple of things, because very talented data miners have done some digging, okay? They've done a lot of digging, actually, and they found some stuff. So let me see if I can find it. Starfield cruise mode. Oh no, deleted by user. No, they got him. Todd, why? Okay, I found another posting about it. So this was 4 months ago. Credit to XTC Refugee looking through thousands of lines of code and based on their findings. Looks like Bethesda dev team is working on proper space travel in future coming updates. Basically what he found was this. There is code that's been added to the game and was subsequently stripped out when they realized people could see it. But they had this code in the game. And basically what it mentions is little things here pertaining to cruise. As you can see, on-ship cruise arrival. Or this one. These little mentionings and tidbits. As you can see, on-ship cruise arrival. Triggered when a ship arrives in cruise mode. Is ship cruise enabled? Disables players' ability to cruise in a probably spaceship. Enables and disables cruise mode dependency. Set cruise mode requires far travel. Returns whether cruise mode is enabled on this probably ship or device or whatever. Is cruise mode enabled? Returns whether cruise mode is cruise mode requires far. There's all of these little references to it, okay? Space cruise event, triggered when a spaceship arrives in cruise mode, all of these. Now, what this appears to be, as you can see, a clarification, this is for space travel, not seamless space to surface travel. What this appears to be is that they will now effectively allow you to travel within star system, or not within a star system. That's what it's at least speculated to be based on the data mined code and stuff like that. Do you remember at launch? Yeah, at launch, Alana Pierce did this video where she went and recorded herself flying to the moon in Starfield, or to a planet in Starfield.
One of the wildest things about this is that even while I was asleep, streaming nothing but space, which by the way, I was also sleeping too, right? It is actually really calming. The only downside is that I have one crewmate on my ship who would occasionally cough. Other than that, it's very peaceful. There were like 4,000 people watching while I was asleep. Nuts. So, when we actually got to...
I don't think I could pull 4,000 to watch me sleep. I'm going to be real. I don't think I could pull 4,000.
Depending on which way it is facing the sun, which again, designed for you to be this close. How you feel about it?
Oh, it was Pluto, not the moon.
It's close. I mean, the whole orbit thing, very, very, very cool. However, it's extremely low res. You are definitely not supposed to be this close. I mean, why would anyone do this in this game anyway? It's insane. And there are a lot of people who have different opinions about like, oh, it's realistic. What did you expect from space travel? Versus like, it's a video game, so you should be able to travel and it should be fun. I think I'm in the camp of people of like, the point of this game, especially now that I've played a lot more of it, is that it's an RPG and it's about talking to people. It's not really a space exploration game, and that's okay. But how you feel about that is how you feel about that.
Basically, she flew there and it took 7 hours to arrive. It's possible, but like, would anybody do it? Like, I'm pretty sure Alana is the only person I know that did it because she's crazy. Like 7 hours, but it's technically possible. So what appears to be happening is that they will allow you to set cruise mode, which will let this happen much faster than 7 hours. And they will allow you to arrive at the planet and then land on it using that Star Wars Outlaws-esque covered loading screen animation thing. That's at least what appears to be happening. It doesn't seem clear at this point if it will allow you to travel between star systems without a load screen. Realistically, what I think they might be able to do is, in Starfield where you do the jump and then it shows the animation of like time itself ripping open as you jump through the whatever wormhole or whatever it's doing with the warp drive. Maybe they could do it where you select the planet or the star system you want to go to, that's however many light years away, and then they show the ship going through that jumping. They do the same kind of covered load screen, and then you arrive at that star, that solar system, and then you could freely fly within it, only having to sit through that load screen when you arrive at the planet. That would be legitimately very, very cool. I think that there's like all of these things significantly improve the game, and I think that they would significantly improve the flow of exploration, because you're not sitting in front of a picture of a load screen. You are instead still immersed in the game. Your hand never goes off the controller because it's all right there still happening. I think, it's still at its core, it's still Starfield. You will still arrive at procedurally generated tiles that have been generated based on the planet seed and the location on the planet you selected for landing. it's still Starfield. So like the repeated procedural generation stuff, none of that changes. It just improves that exploration flow. So it's better, but it doesn't magically change what the game is. And I think that this is the key point. It will still be Starfield. It will just be better Starfield. And this is why some of the people I spoke to said that they would not describe this as a Cyberpunk 2.0 situation. And I think that that is important because some people have been framing this as Starfield 2.0, as if this is straight up like a reinvention of what the game is. And I just don't see that. Like even now, if I search on X, Starfield 2.0, not 23.0, 2.0. So, I mean, again, it's said to be a 2.0 scale update, which will reinvent the game. I mean, I'd calm down a little bit. Secret Starfield event has fans expecting a 2.0 update. Fans, that is true. Fans are expecting that because some of the most hardcore, like, fans are describing that. As you can see, version 2.0. Mustafa, lots of rumors around massive Starfield 2.0 update. Rumors, Starfield 2.0 trial version sent to media, which is not what anybody is saying. Like, nobody's saying they got it. Nobody, it's my understanding, nobody played it at the event. This was a hands-off demonstration, like video presentation. My understanding is that nobody played the update. It was played effectively by one of the like producers. It's also my understanding that this is not coming when people think it is, that it's coming a good bit later. So if you're expecting this to like shadow drop in April, I don't think so. I do not think so. I do not think so. This is interesting. I've never seen this before. WCCF Tech has this. Look at this rumor assessment. This is legitimately kind of cool. I've never seen this before. They have like a rating for leaks. That's kind of cool. I've never seen that. That's cool. Well, there you go. So this is interesting. Okay. So after all of this started being discussed, people then I think realized that they were able to come forward and talk about it. So people started to do just that. So as you can see, Juicehead, he mentioned in that video that you mentioned earlier in chat, Juicehead's an awesome YouTuber, does great work. He said, seen lots of talk about the Starfield event popping up all of a sudden, not really an event. What I can say is last month, Bethesda Game Studios gave I and others an opportunity to see some of Starfield's future content. I can't say more, but I will talk about it in time, I think is what he means with the hourglass, but talk about it in time. And I said in the video that I'm excited for the future of Starfield. So again, people who had you know, a good time with Starfield are optimistic about it. Another person that they invited, no doubt, I think was Paris. I think that's why Paris was here. Paris has a long history of covering Xbox stuff, especially. Was on the interview panel for when Todd Howard went on Kind of Funny Games like 2-3 years ago. So I'm sure is familiar with Todd. Todd! Where's the other one? I had another one pulled up. Crap, did I close it? There was another guy. Oh, here it is. Jay, who this account focuses on Starfield and other sci-fi RPGs. So this is, does he have a YouTube account or is it? I think he literally just on X just like posts screenshots and like discusses things that he likes about Starfield. I think that he's a Starfield fan account basically. But he said, Jay said, I wanted to verify the terms of the embargo before saying anything, but full disclosure, I can confirm that I received an early look from Bethesda Game Studios at what's coming to Starfield. I will be able to share more information in the future, but for now, that's all. On a personal note, I am stoked. Which also, low-key, hate to be that guy. Apparently, you're not even allowed to say your feeling about something when you sign an NDA for it. Okay, we saw this with like a lot of people who saw like AC Shadows early and they were still under embargo and they're like, yeah, really excited, talk about it soon, I think it's awesome, talk about it soon. It's like, bro, that's also kind of breaking NDA. You can't say anything about it, but whatever. So they've invited a number of people, like fan accounts, YouTubers, and modders to this event, and I think that that was a very tactical choice because again, I do not think the goal of this is to win back people or rather win over people that previously found the game underwhelming. because it's probably not going to do that as an update. Rather, their goal is to get people back in and to win back people that did play Starfield. And like I said earlier, put 100 or 200 hours in. And their goal is to get those people to come back and spend another 100 hours or 200 hours. Okay? So this event was essentially just a Starfield echo chamber. I mean, kind of like some of the people that were there are like certainly fans and like fanboys or whatever you want to say. Some of the people there certainly are very level-headed and can think for themselves. They just are like friendly, I guess, with BGS. But I think that it's important to understand the angle that they are demonstrating they have taken. It is not to win over people who didn't like Starfield. It is to win back people who already liked it, you know, and that's just a different thing. Juicehead's criticized Bethesda. It's kind of been hard not to in recent memory. But I still think that I think even Juicehead would say that he covers a lot of Bethesda stuff. His channel is focused a lot on Bethesda stuff. So, you know, he's close with the studio. He's done a lot of stuff with the studio. It is just very interesting to see the tactics that they are taking. But that's where we are, my friends. That's where we are. You can see again that there's other reporting. People have started to pick up the story and corroborate it with their sources who have discussed it. Yeah, you can see that it's, as it stands, there's going to be another expansion in 2026, and rumblings are that the game will be coming to PS5 and Switch 2 or around that time. In keeping with Xbox's new, sure, let's put our exclusives everywhere, eventually philosophy of game releases. It's also funny, I was described as an insider. Like, no, I would not call myself an insider, but I can understand why he put it that way. Let's see. Windows Central's Jess Corton said he's heard about other upgrades. Let's see. This does not seem to be an event that was a big reveal of the coming expansion, which we still know little about. I've previously gone on record as being somewhat baffled by Bethesda continuing to invest this much into Starfield based on past data, namely the release of the not very good Shattered Space expansion created barely a blip in the game's player count, far less than you'd imagine a larger scale expansion would. And I say this as somebody who notoriously gave Starfield some of its highest scores. My only real guess here is that this stuff would be timed with the release of a PS5 or Switch 2 version, so a complete version of the game could be sold there right at launch, which could annoy Xbox players to a certain extent. After playing through the 2 resets of the universe and the Shattered Space expansion, I'm not sure I'd return just for the quality of life improvements, but the expansion, I think my curiosity will get the better of me, so I'll probably experience all those updates anyway, provided they drop at the same time, though there is some reporting the DLC may drop later than the rest of all of this. My understanding is that when they did allow for questions at the event, and when people asked either during the event or after, and again, we're using event, it was basically a digital presentation, but when people asked for clarification, if the update, the 2.0 quote unquote update, if it was launching with the DLC or separate, they would not say. So maybe the answer is yes, but it could also be that they are still deciding it and figuring it out. I don't know. Yeah, prolific stalker, Luke Stevens. Well-known Todd sycophant. Dude, I kind of wish in these stories when they reference me that they would put Luke Stevens, in parentheses, who has a cardboard cutout of Todd Howard in his studio and lights a candle and sings hymns to him. That would be funny. So overall, I think that this will make Starfield better, but it's still going to be Starfield. I'm excited to see what it looks like and what it is, but I think it's crucial, even if you are a Starfield fan. And this is not coming from me. This is coming from people who were there. They are saying, don't expect this to be a 2.0 update. Don't expect this to be they might, for marketing reasons, call it a 2.0 update for all I know. Maybe they market it that way. But the people I spoke to who know what this update entails were saying it's not a Cyberpunk 2.0 update. Don't expect it's all of that. It's go into it expecting less, and then if it exceeds that, you'll be even more excited, but don't go into it with those insane expectations, because it's very unlikely that they will surpass them. Because again, I hate to be this guy. who am I kidding? I'd love to be this guy. The last big overhaul update that Todd put out for one of his games was the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition, which was an attempt to fix bugs that they introduced to Fallout 4 a year and a half earlier, and it took them a year and a half to fix it. They broke so much stuff in that next gen update for Fallout 4, it's taken them years to improve it. That's madness. Fallout 4 on PC is still unplayable. They didn't fix some of the biggest things. If you play it above 60 frames a second, all of the animations and physics in the game break. AI, pathing, and everything breaks. The game is literally unplayable on modern PCs because it's a 10-year-old game. It will run above 60 frames. You have to manually throttle the game to 60 frames, otherwise it breaks. It's crazy. It's crazy. This is a game that's made millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, by the way. So hundreds of millions of dollars, frankly. So overall, I just, maybe this update does wow us, but let's also just remember that every time they've tried to do something that wows us, even if it looks good in trailers, it ends up breaking 1,500 other things. So I will be cautiously optimistic, and I'm sure we'll try it when it comes at some point next year. But I think, it's best to go into this with lowered expectations. I think that's the key. Go into it with lower expectations. Now, when do we see this? I think it's likely that we see this showcased in January at the Xbox event showcase thing. I was trying to think, why would they do this event in November? And it seems like mainly the event took place in November so that modders could start working on stuff. And that's the goal, is to get those modders to start creating stuff, utilizing these updates. My guess is they'll have stuff like custom load screen cover up animations. So if you want to transition through planet surfaces with sparks flying off your ship, that's a mod, for $3 or whatever. But I think that's why they showed it so early. If it's showcased in January, you would think that means it's coming very soon after that. I'm not sure that is happening. I think it may be coming a little bit later, but we will see. Starfield price on PS5? Well, you heard that it makes sense. Why? Think about it. Not from your point of view. Think of it from Todd's point of view, okay? Starfield is 2 years old. Next year it'll be 3 years old. How crazy is that? Time flies. Time flies when you're not having fun on a moon. And they don't want to, they've done a lot of work. They don't want to sell this for $60. Oh, can you imagine? So what if they had, say, 2 expansions? They can bundle it. Call it a complete edition. They throw in some mod packs, just like they did recently with another game that was very old, much older, that they still charged full price for. You know what they did? They bundled in all sorts of paid mods and little bitty things. Yeah, Creations Bundle. Yeah, that's about right. They bundled all of these in, and it's just a bunch of paid mods. Just a bunch of effectively microtransactions that are bundled in. Yeah, the fact that this was actually put into the public for purchase is shameful. The game will not start and it's completely broken my 10-year-old game. I left the game on for hours just to see if it would even work. I left it on while asleep just to give it a chance. 13 hours later of initializing and it still wasn't done. You physically cannot play this game if you buy this pack. DLC refuses to install. It's a joke. I paid for it and it never downloaded. Doesn't work. Broken AF. Fix it, you jerks. There's not, there's one positive review, and he's like a modder and he's explaining to BGS how to fix it. That's crazy. That's wild. So I think what they're going to do is Todd is going to bundle the 2 expansions and a Creations bundle all together. And he's going to sell it for $70 on PlayStation and Switch 2. Yeah. It says ignore the thumbs up and don't buy. Oh, really? I would not have previously believed it possible. Bethesda's players forgive way too much. I know I have. Ignore the thumb up and don't buy this. Okay, so even the positive review is not positive. Dude, that's freaking hilarious. So forgive me for being skeptical. Forgive me. I'm terribly sorry. But let's be real. They've not done a whole lot to instill confidence at this point. Okay. They just haven't. they haven't. So I'm going to remain skeptical, as I encourage all of you to as well. And we will keep an eye on it. I have a feeling we won't be talking about Starfield for like another month or so, but when we do, should have a lot to say. Okay? Should be fun. Should be fun. He took my thing.